Hi, this is Charles Scott again. Just wanted to share with you some information, some statistics on how many people actually retire financially independent. And this is a question that a lot of times we get asked, what are the odds of me being successful financially? I guess is another way to put it. And it's interesting because when I got into the industry a while back, there were some statistics from back in the early 80s about how this was. And I was just on a webinar a couple of weeks ago, and there was some stuff from 2015. So it's like, how much has this really changed over the last 30 years? And I think you'll find this interesting. At least I found it interesting, so hopefully you will too. So in the early 80s, if you take 100 people that were born and you're going to back them up 65 years, let's just do that. So you're a 65-year-old now, born 65 years previously, obviously. 35 are dead. That obviously happens. There's mortality. 47 were dependent on Social Security or charities or family or friends. And that was sort of surprising to me. I didn't think that that would really be the situation. 13 were still working. 5 were truly financially independent. And that's one of the things 5% of the people have figured it out and are independent from a financial perspective. So here's just a recap. Again, back in the early 80s, and what's changed? What is it like in 2015? Again, go back 65 years, so you're now a 65-year-old in 2015. This time, 29 are dead, so fewer are dead because life expectancy has been enhanced, healthcare has been enhanced, people are living longer, so that makes sense. 48% are dependent on Social Security, charities, family, or friends. So that's a little different, but not a lot. 18 are still working, and that's more because fewer are dead, and people are living longer and still working longer. 4% have adequate funds to be okay financially. And if you think about, the 1% is truly financially wealthy. So, again, that's that 1% that people sort of fixate on sometimes. But the realities are, you've died, you're dependent on family or friends or some other institution, or you're still working, or again, 5% have become truly financially independent. So if you really compare across, fewer people have died because of, longer lifespans and better health. Pretty much the same number are still dependent on somebody else for their well-being. More are working, which again makes sense. And 5% are financially independent. I mean, that hasn't changed since the early 80s. And my contention is, in 1982, the stock market took off, and between 1982 and 2000, it was up over 1,000%. The greatest creation of wealth in the history of the world. And to be perfectly honest, it hasn't changed how many people have figured it out. 5% of the people have figured it out. It was that way, in the early 80s. It's still that way today. If you'd like to try to figure out how do you get on track to be one of that 5%, let's give us a call. We've got some plans. We may be able to help. Hopefully that was enlightening. Appreciate you guys sitting here and watching this. Thanks.